Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Wednesday, August 17th. This is Gina McGuire. Over the next few days, we have increases to fire potential expected across the Great Basin, initially with lightning today and Thursday over northern Nevada up into southern Idaho, Wyoming, and over northern Utah. These thunderstorms will be a mix of wet and dry. However, any of the drier lightning strikes will have the potential for new starts becoming large fires, as fuels are extremely critical in these areas. We will continue to see showers and thunderstorms through Thursday over eastern and southern Utah, but fuels are not as critical in these areas. Further north, we have a cold front dropping down south through the Great Basin on Friday and Saturday, and this will increase winds and shift winds to the north and northwest, with the strongest winds on Friday over Idaho, Wyoming, into northern Utah and northern Nevada. These wind gusts could exceed 40 or 45 miles per hour at times, with the winds spreading further south on Saturday. Drier weather is expected, however, behind the cold front in most areas as we move through this weekend, before a return of moisture next week. Over the last 24 hours, we've only had light amounts of precipitation reported across the Great Basin. With the lightning, as you can see on the right, we did have some higher amounts of rainfall in areas over southern Utah, but most other areas only saw very light amounts, and isolated lightning occurred also with these showers. Great Basin fire activity is on the map and with the red dots, and you can see with the lightning over northern Nevada, we had quite a few new starts and a few new large fires over the area, and again, this is showing how receptive the fuels are. The observed precipitation over the last 7 to 30 days, you can see over the last 7 days, very dry conditions over southern Idaho into most of Nevada, and even Utah only saw light amounts of precipitation, with the exception of the Arizona Strip and the southwest portion of the state, which saw a little bit more. Over the last 30 days, we've still seen very dry conditions with no precipitation over southern Idaho into northern and western Nevada, which is again why these fuels are so critical. Further south, we have seen some precipitation, but most areas, this precipitation is below normal. Showing our ERCs and how they've changed over the last week, the image on the left shows the ERCs about a week ago, still critical over the northern half of the Great Basin and below the 50th percentile further south. However, over the last week, with the dry conditions continuing, the ERCs have become much more critical across Idaho into northern Nevada, with many areas now above the 97th percentile. The water vapor satellite loop from this morning shows weak low pressure over central Nevada, which will move slowly eastward. Near and north of this low, we did see a fair amount of lightning yesterday over north central Nevada, and this threat will continue today and expand north up into Idaho, western Wyoming, and northern Utah. These thunderstorms will move slower than how they moved yesterday, and therefore there may be light amounts of rainfall. However, fuels are very critical and ignition efficiency will be high in these areas. Further south and east across eastern and southern Utah into the Arizona Strip, any thunderstorms may produce light amounts of rainfall. However, fuels are not as critical. Now showing our weather pattern today, on the left you can see the weak low pressure with areas north and east expected to see showers and thunderstorms today. We have increased our areas of high risk for lightning across the northern half of the Great Basin. Due to this lightning threat in areas where fuels are very critical and ignition efficiency will likely be very high, even if we do see some moisture. Further south, fuels are not as critical over Utah and lightning will have some rainfall. The image on the left now shows we're expecting those showers and thunderstorms, and the image on the right is wind gusts across the Great Basin. Generally breezy southwest winds over southern areas. However, again, these areas fuels aren't as critical. Further north, though, with these thunderstorms, we will see the potential for very strong and gusty outflow winds, similar to the last couple of days where outflow winds could exceed 50 miles per hour. So again, that will be an additional threat in areas of critical fuels. On Thursday, the lightning threat pushes a little bit further eastward, but we still could see some activity over northern Nevada, and we continued high risk for parts of Wyoming, southeast Idaho, into northeast Nevada. Again, the image on the left showing where we expect showers and thunderstorms. Right now, any activity over the Sierra front looks to be very isolated. However, we will continue to monitor this as any increase in lightning in this area especially will also increase fire potential. The wind gust map on the right shows stronger winds on Thursday for the Arizona Strip into southern Utah. However, again, fuels are not as critical. Further north, though, out ahead of the cold front, we can start to see already winds starting to pick up on Thursday over Idaho into Wyoming, but speeds should remain near or below 30 miles per hour, with a bigger increase on Friday. So for Friday, we can see that cold front now dropping down south across Montana and the northern Rockies into the northern Great Basin, and again that wind threat on the right. And in these areas also, not only will the winds be strong and gusty out of the north, but these are areas that we will be seeing lightning over the next couple of days. So this will increase the potential for holdovers as well as affect ongoing incidents. On Friday, here's the minimum RH on the left showing single-digit RHs over much of Nevada. A little bit higher RH as you get into Idaho as that cold front approaches and moves through. However, still before RHs really drop, those winds will be very strong, and we could see those gusts again above 45 miles per hour dip all the way down into central Utah on Friday. So we'll be watching this area for the continued increased fire potential threat. The overall amount of precipitation over the next 3 days is still relatively light in most areas, a little bit more precip into central and southern Utah, but further north and west it should be spotty. We could see some areas that get a little heavier precip in some of the slower moving storms, but again, for the most part, this will be fairly spotty. Now looking a little bit further ahead into Saturday, that cold front pushes through the Great Basin. We still may see some gusty winds across Utah into Wyoming, but we will likely see lighter winds develop over the western side of the basin, with dry conditions in most areas, with the exception of maybe a few isolated thunderstorms down in the Arizona Strip. These dry conditions continue on Sunday across the Great Basin as weak ridging moves overhead with lighter winds. However, as we move into Monday and Tuesday next week, we'll likely see the return of monsoon moisture from the south, with the wettest conditions expected over Utah, with a return for showers and thunderstorms, and possibly into eastern Nevada. Looking at the overall 7-day accumulation of precipitation total, most of this is from what we'll see over the next few days, but as we get into early next week, we'll likely see these numbers increase, especially across Utah. Looking at the 8 to 14-day outlook, which takes us into the end of August, generally warmer and drier conditions are expected area-wide. That concludes our briefing. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Thank you for listening.